cool direction that I'm sort of taking in lately of doing a lot of more pretty hardcore entrepreneurs, definitely outside my usual sphere of comfort zone, in the way of last week Goat Rodeo, which is going to be this week's episode. This week is the guys from DRNXMYTH, fantastic RTD CPG product that came about before the pandemic, when all these RTD explosions, cocktails in a can, sort of happened. So I want to introduce Brandon and Lawrence, and thank you so much for being here, gents.
Thanks, Shawn.
Thanks for having us.
So let's kick it all the way back, because I know that you guys weren't really in the hospitality industry. Is that correct? When you sort of came up with the idea of this premium, it's almost like a mouthful of premium prepackaged cocktail. Where was the inspiration for this?
I mean, we loved craft cocktails. I mean, we probably had one too many nights in a row for years. And we knew all the, the top places in LA, and a lot of the top bartenders, we kind of became friends with over time. And we, would try and remake these drinks at home and just sucked at it. I mean, nowadays we're pretty good, but like 6 years ago when we started the company, it was like, damn, like they're not open right now. And it's like, but I want that drink, and then you go to the store and you try and see, and this is, a lot of bartenders kind of didn't really like RTDs, for good reason, because, they use a lot of artificial ingredients and preservatives, and, it's just not really like, it's not really like honoring what happens behind the bar. So we knew that there could be something better, and that's what we try to do.
I know from like, you can see my back bar here. This is actually the very first bar that I've ever built in my house, ever in my whole entire career, because I've usually got a home base bar, which I still do, but I had to put somewhere in my collection. Really, at the end of the day, the one thing, big fallacy I think bartenders have about the general public is that how easy procuring everything to make one cocktail. Like, when you really get down to the nuts and bolts, like, okay, let's do 3 bottles of liquor, a bottle of bitters, make some syrups for a couple of cocktails that you're going to enjoy with friends. It's a substantial amount of work, including throwing in citrus and that sort of stuff. So when did DRNXMYTH like go from a concept to a reality?
Well, it was we had that exact same frustration. I think it was actually one night, it was just, all right, I'm super tired, but I want some good drinks, but I don't want to go downtown, and I had to press these damn juices, and my girlfriend's friends don't want this and they want like that, and the drinks aren't coming out well, and it's just like, this is insane. And so basically Brandon and I really started investigating why there had not been able, why couldn't you have something fresh in an alcoholic product? That was kind of the fundamental crux of it all. And so we started doing some initial research, because there was just this initial pain. We're like, we see this trifecta of like, it's possible people do it at a bar, and there are fresh ingredients in the world. There's, fresh juices at the store, there's cheese, there's meat. Fresh ingredients are possible. And so we started seeing about, 6 years ago or so, how a number of companies in the juice space started pioneering a new technology that had been around in some other food products, but had never been used in juice. Companies like Suja and Evolution Fresh and Blueprint, who are being invested into and acquired by Coca-Cola and Starbucks and these huge companies, which essentially, this high pressure technology essentially stabilizes fresh citrus for up to 5, 6, 7 months.
Wow.
And we realized initially, wow, if they could use that for juice, we of course can use it for a bottle cocktail. And that was kind of the initial inflection point where we started going down the path of looking at that technology and realizing, but the problem was, even when you were bottling the alcohol with the citrus and everything else together, it was starting to degrade the citrus, which is like, at a bar, they're mixing it fresh right in the moment that you order it. And so the next inflection point was, hey, let's just create something that separates the two, and you're able to make it fresh, so it has the utility of keeping the booze separable quality taste, but it's also kind of a do-it-yourself dimension to the product, and you have a certain amount of agency over the drink and over your kind of cocktail production. And once we realized that, okay, that's a good idea, but on top of it, how are you even going to make it? And so we started calling every distillery in the state, hey, we're going to send you the juice. We're going to figure out how to bring this high pressure technology. We're going to send you the bottle, which we hadn't invented yet. And every distiller is like, and they're like, Lawrence, you have no idea. Have you ever been to a distillery? I was like, I've never been to a distillery. And they're like, you should probably go to one. And basically, they're not really set up to handle anything fresh. It's kind of musty. There's wood everywhere. And so what we did was, through a number of kind of investigations and trying to just push on it for a number of years, realized that instead of pushing the fresh juice through the distillery, wholesaler, retailer kind of model, what we did was we kind of flipped it on its head, and we got the bulk alcohol manufacturing licenses at a fresh juice bottling facility, and basically produced it with all the existing infrastructure of that factory with the additional licenses. And so once we were able to put all that together, we started realizing that, okay, the pieces are in place, that we can eventually get these licenses, potentially build this bottle. There's this technology in place. And we kind of, maybe over a number of, maybe 6 months, we could figure this out. It turns out it's going to take a number of years to actually R&D the bottle technology, and probably 20, 30 different iterations over a number of years, that we were able to kind of put all of these foundational pieces together into kind of elegant supply chain and the product that you see today.
So what year was that when you started out the process?
Yeah, that was in 20. So yeah, to answer your question, it took 6 years.
Wow. So from like back of a napkin concept to launch, 6 years. And well, you had the concept of the juice, but the bottle itself is a completely different animal unto it. Like,
yeah, the licensing, it was the bottle, the licensing, finding the co-packer. I mean, from the moment that it hit the napkin, so to speak, it was like, all right, then we're doing like some light investigation, we're kind of warming up to the idea. And then, then finally we thought, all right, let's take it to the next level and make some images come to life. And, we were lucky enough to get some investment, and that propelled us forward. We ended up with some cash in the bank off of that presentation from some angel investors who were, they saw the vision. And, the next thing you know, we spent $100,000 on making the bottle, which didn't work.
Oh,
yeah.
So, it was a tough road to hoe. I mean, the bottle took a long time. The licensing took almost 2 years to get, because it's not like you can go to the TTB and be like, all right, cool, we want to get this license to handle bulk, and do it, just kind of without a location. You can't do that. You have to have a location already. And so we had to go find that, and we had to find the unique mix of capabilities that co-packer, could do. And so, we find a lot of co-packers who are interested in doing, more business, but do they do high pressure processing? Do they do filling? Do they do batching? Do they run 2 shifts? I mean, what's their capacity? So it took a while to find the right one. And then it was like, all right, now we got to make a contract where you guys, allow us to take over your facility when we're batching with liquor. So it took some time to negotiate that, and then it took time to go get it in front of the TTB and have the TTB say, okay, we prove this. So, it was a lot.
And going to the TTB, like you obviously basically, it's not like you're recreating a category, but the packaging wise, like the packaging for the TTB obviously is something that had never been done before. Like you're basically it's basically a juice bottle with an on pack, but you guys have just over engineered it, and well, in a good way. But how did the TTB like look at that and go, okay, this makes no sense? Because I know government agencies 9 times out of 10 have no idea what's going on actually in the market, what's trends. They just see stuff come over their desk. How was it received and then perceived by the TTB?
It was funny. We had to hire a consultant lobbyist type person to physically walk over to TTB and present them with what we were doing, because there was an open question around, that there's an alcohol portion and then there's a juice portion, and in spirits, and this has kind of changed, in the last few months with TTB, but basically you have to have certain standard sizes. So the consumers have like a basis in which to judge, the alcohol in which they're buying. And so the top chamber, the question was, is that going to be its own kind of separate standard size, or is the entire package going to be considered, the actual alcoholic product? And so we had to go in and discuss with them and kind of show them exactly what we're doing. And basically they made a ruling, internally, kind of, it's not for like the whole public to see, but maybe it is, but basically that the entire package is the standard size because it's intended to be mixed rather than just intended to the top part to be poured out. So we had to get a special kind of I guess lobbyist type person, who we're still working with on a number of different things, because they had to basically figure out, because the bulk alcohol licensing that we got had never been used in a fresh juice facility. And so there was a number of questions around, well, what are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you even stabilizing the juice? We had to explain them that. And so, my understanding, we're the only distilled spirit product that has, something perishable, and a kind of a fresh component to the alcoholic product. So pretty proud of that.
So for the people watching right now and the people that are going to listen to this later, can you explain how the bottle works? Because it is ridiculously really unique.
Yeah. So it's 2 chambers. The bottom chamber contains all the fresh ingredients. It's about 4 ounces. And then on the top part, there's like a sleeve that gets assembled down onto it, kind of clicks into place after we've filled and pressurized the bottom chamber. The pressure process that we use basically keeps the drink fresh, without having to use artificial ingredients or preservatives for 5 to 7 months. So that's huge. That's the second chamber gets pressed down on top, and then it gets filled with liquor, and then it gets capped. And then when you're ready to drink it, you twist, kind of like, you're given like a rope burn, if you remember that, or whatever,
No, I feel you. I get it. I get the rope burn.
Yeah. And you twist it, and on the inside there's this neck that has a cap on the neck, and as you twist it, it threads up the neck, and it unplugs the 2 chambers, and so you get this nice mixing effect. You have to shake it, and then you pour it out over ice, or you can drink it out of the bottle. Either way, we like it over ice. We make it super cold, dilute it a little bit, but that's how it works.
So what was the date that you came to market with all this? Because like 6 years worth of R&D, which is a lot more than most small brands are going to do in the first place. That's a huge investment of time on a big what if. What date did you come to market fully and hit the ground running?
January last year, 2020.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So okay, now we can really fast forward. So you released January 2020. COVID hits 2 months later.
Yeah.
How have you seen the trend? Because obviously 6 years worth of development, you obviously researched the hell out of the market, where RTDs were going, the premium market, all this sort of stuff. I suppose it's a double-edged sword, because COVID hits, at-home drinking, at-home bartending becomes a huge, huge deal. But then also every Tom, Dick, and Harry starts releasing cocktails in cans and prepackaged cocktails from bars and so on and so forth. What was the double-edged sword with releasing a couple of months before COVID?
I mean, we tried a lot of different things. We were prepared for coronavirus without really knowing it, and I think that COVID basically just helped to accelerate that habit of buying product online, and we were uniquely positioned with an e-commerce approach that is 3-tier compliant, and we were adept with D2C tactics, and we were able to kind of lean in. People were looking for this product online, and bam, we were out there with paid ads and driving them back to our website, and it's all done through local retailers, so they carry the product, and then we have a marketing partner that passes automatically orders to the retailers so that they can fulfill them. They have title to the product, but we work with a number of retailers who they operate more like shipping and on-demand delivery hubs than they do like a place where you can walk in and actually grab product off the shelf. So that was we've been researching the category and being in the category for a long time without having launched it. So we were really kind of seasoned with all the different avenues that we could go to market with. And we just, truth is, like, the pandemic the reason why it was a strong product before COVID is the reason why it's is what helped it become even stronger during COVID. I guess the best way to say it.
And the other edge of the sword to your question is, we had been planning to launch in hotels. We had all these retail or distributor, conversations going. Everyone was pretty excited about it, and all the hotels, were like, okay, we're closed down. So all those conversations, we're going out to Vegas, once or twice a month, working on some cool collaborations, and that, obviously dried up. And what we were kind of finding is that they kind of hunkered down on the retail side. They're like, we're not bringing in any new products. We were in a total wind down in Huntington Beach in one of their test stores, and we're like, hey, great, we're selling a ton right now. Let's go to, let's expand. They're like, we're not expanding any products. We're not bringing in any new products. And so if you weren't kind of in the pipeline of distribution already, we had the huge surge in retail, you weren't getting in. So we weren't in, in that, we weren't on the shelves yet. But I think it actually kind of, the fact that we were able to get product to people through the e-commerce means, I think if anything was a great benefit, because they had a certain need of wanting to have these drinks, and they were able to, they were seeing ours on social media and they tried it. And the fact that there's other RTDs, is almost kind of fine with us. Like if you try ours compared to any other one, what's nice is that it has noticeably distinct, and I would, argue better taste. And so if anything, it's like it's a taste test for the whole category. And what's, I think, compared to like, say, another kind of bourbon or another kind of vodka or a gin, when you really line them up, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell which one is like materially better or different. Whereas with ours, because the freshness, it's just like having fresh juice versus a Tropicana. There's a noticeably different taste, and I think that was, that's what 6 years worth of development kind of gets you.
Projection wise for 2020, you launch in January. Obviously, you want to sort of ease into it, see how it sort of rolls out, that sort of thing, build your relationships and stuff like that. How did you see consumer convenience just completely almost flip overnight? Like you were talking about your DTC and your e-com. And I've been talking about this with more like restaurants doing delivery services and stuff like that, because consumer convenience is here to stay now. It was probably 2 to 5 years away. Have projection-wise aligned with where you guys saw yourself in this last first year?
Yeah, we predicted last fall where we would be in 2021, and we're hitting all of our targets. Basically looking at 400%, plus increase in sales over last year, and pretty much all of that is, 90% of it or so is still from e-commerce. People are on their phones now. And it's been a trend. It's not like coronavirus just made it. It's just accelerated it, and now all of these brands are attainable online. It's not something you have to go to the store for. So I think the alcohol industry is benefiting from what a lot of other industries have already kind of been doing, like the beauty business or food and beverage at large. And I think that the cool thing in alcohol is too, you can price your products higher. With beverage, it's hard because, if you're doing something that has to be lower priced, like just seltzer water, for instance, like if you're, I won't name names, but, alcohol inside of it, you're not going to command a higher price point. DRNXMYTH, we sell it for average $12 a unit. And, if you're like a seltzer water, I'm not talking hard seltzer. I'm talking like fruit juice and seltzer or something like that. You got high shipping costs, you got to sell a lot of your product. So I like that aspect to how D2C is helping, on the alcohol side. Cause if you're an alcohol brand, you can make it online if you know what you're doing.
So I think that's a good thing. She talks about collaboration, which I've done a bunch of research on your guys' social media and social media marketing. And I feel like the RTDs are like in 3 camps right now. You've got the big guys who are doing the hard seltzers. We won't name the White Claws and whatnot, which I just did, but we won't name the White Claws. Then you've got the brand loyal sort of very regionality of like pre-batch cocktails in different states that have passed that rule over the last little while. And then you've got your guys, and there's a couple of other high-end RTDs that are sort of hitting the market now. With your collaboration, like a lot of these brands, the big boys especially, don't see, like they almost see bartenders as the enemy, not in a bad way, but like, well, we're giving you the unfussy stuff. and that sort of thing. But you guys like sort of doubled down on partnering and aligning yourselves with a whole bunch of really, really good Californian bartenders, like Bad Birdie and Hawk and those sort of guys, to sort of push your products and almost to a point help to endorse it and sort of showcase. Because like I said in the very beginning of the episode, like everybody thinks they can make cocktails at home until you actually start making cocktails at home. Like everybody thinks that they like, and bartenders think the same way. Oh, I'll give you a recipe, you'll be fine. It's like, okay, well, $500 later at the liquor store, and now I'm making one cocktail for me and the wife for the next week. But how did that influence of marketing, that alignment with really well-known bartenders sort of come to be? And it is almost anti-marketing for a product like yours in a way of that sort of get away from the pretentious bartenders and have something at home. But you guys are like, screw it, we're going to double down on it.
I mean, I think we never really looked at it quite like that. I think that when it comes down to it, is like you need that. You want to have that proof of concept, and like from a consumer standpoint, if there's some legit bartenders that are backing the product, you know, you think twice about that versus just it being from some kind of nameless corporate company that you never heard of before today. And I think, you know, for us too, on the flip side, you know, we had to learn how to make the drinks too. And so we kind of got this, you know, ability to, you know, go to people, pitch the idea, show them that, hey, look, we're making these different. The whole point is to make them the same quality. What about, you know, when you're not a bartender anymore? What about, you know, letting people that aren't close by to your bar, you know, learn about you, or just getting your likeness out there more and having that drive people to where you are. You know, and I think a lot of people were attracted to that. And then in that context, we were able to have the stuff tested and R&D, you know, alongside people who really knew what they were doing. And then just kind of just evolved naturally, where they were like, well, now I really believe in this because it is legit. And, you know, it has been the stuff that I've been bringing to the table. And yeah, just it all really synthesized kind of naturally like that. I think, you know, with other companies that are doing it, it's harder for them to, you know, for us, we've designed a system that allows us to go to market really quickly. You know, it's all our proprietary process. You know, it's our joint venture. It's our, you know, the factory down here in LA is right in our backyard. You know, we don't have problems getting cans or getting, you know, some stock bottles. It's all our stuff. So it's easier for us to partner with bartenders, and we also give them a piece of the sales. So, you know, there's people that are making some not insignificant amounts of money off of their, you know, sales of their recipes, which is cool.
Do you want to add something there, Lawrence?
Well, I mean, I would just say that, like, to your point at the very beginning, where bartenders, and there's even a lot of the you know, the public that looks down on RTDs. And so a lot of bartenders that we initially approached, they're like, I'm not doing an RTD. Like that's for those people, and that's not what we're doing. And then once they tried it, what we were doing, it was like, wow, you guys are actually making something that represents me and won't not make me look bad, but if anything, make me look really cool and have people all over the country, if not the world, try my drinks and have them taste as if they were made, you know, by me. So they might have seen my cool cocktails online. But I think one of the benefits of, you know, working with these influencers is that, you know, not only are they great bartenders, but they showcase bartending and drink making to the public in a way where it invites them in and shows them, hey, this is how you make a certain kind of drink. This is the history of alcohol. I'm beautifying it and really kind of inviting them in. And so, but that only goes so far when you're, you know, salivating and looking at a drink on your phone. It's another thing to like see it and then actually be able to press a button and have it delivered to you. So it kind of just took that next level of kind of marketing, or kind of what they were already doing, to a different level.
How many SKUs have you got right now? How many different products are you on the website right now?
I mean, I made about 16 over the past year. And that was an interesting kind of phenomenon where, you know, we launched the initial 5, that kind of like just broad swaths of, you know, spirits and flavors. And then we had this kind of, we wanted to bring in new bartenders because there's just so many great people we wanted to work with. And we started teasing out the smoked watermelon with our late friend Josue, and people just lost their mind. They're like, when is this coming out? And it just built this kind of like demand. And when it launched, it just had a huge effect on sales. And we started thinking, wow, like, we really just got to keep pushing on this new drink dimension, because there's just so many brands that want to promote their spirit. Tons of brands are coming to us now saying, hey, how can we do, or how can I be in your East Side? And it's starting to become like a platform where different bartenders, different brands, even venues, different hotels are calling us and saying, hey, I want to have my custom, so-and-so hotel's cocktail. And because we have this infrastructure of the supply chain, the manufacturing, the bottle technology, we've designed the packaging, the brand, and the process so that, obviously you can't just come in and just do whatever you want, but there's a combining of forces that elevates what we're doing. And it kind of is a stamp of, high quality and fresh for anyone that collaborates with us.
So talking about that, like, how long does it take you to R&D one individual SKU? So like with the hotels and the casinos and stuff like that, obviously they have recipes, they come to you, but having a recipe on a piece of paper compared to putting it out, what's the sort of timeline you're looking at?
It depends. I mean, if it's a pretty straightforward ingredients, like a lot of fresh ingredients, that actually makes it a bit easier. One of the challenges for us is that, we have to buy the alcohol directly from the distillery or the supplier. So say something calls for Campari or Aperol, we got to go to Campari and be like, hey, can you ship us a barrel of this and that? And sometimes it's not so easy to work with bigger brands, but if they're down for it, we make it happen. But, say it's something very simple, like we can R&D it in a night, send it over to TTB, get it proved like in 2 weeks, and then put it in production by the end of the month. So that's kind of on a quicker time frame. But we're looking to do some really interesting ones where we do, we're trying to work with Luxardo and Montenegro and like really kind of cool brands that, take a little bit longer because, the spirit is made halfway across the world and it takes a bit more time. So we kind of have some in the pipeline that are like, hey, let's bust them out right now in a month or two. Some of them are a little longer projects that we think are going to be pretty epic.
So with that, like obviously 2021 and 2022, you were talking about consumer convenience being accelerated beyond a point of contention. Now, what's the plan for the 2021, 2022 market with this sort of shift of sort of hoping to be reopened in the next little bit, because a lot of states are getting vaccinated and things are really reopening with I'm sure you're getting emails now with hotels and bars and restaurants who were not up for doing anything this time last year, all of a sudden like, hey, we're back, we're open, we're going to have 7 hotels open in the next little while. Are you guys just been ridiculously inundated with sort of everything restarting and re-kicking off?
Yep, definitely. I mean, even for restaurants and bars during, the height of the pandemic, a lot of them were contacting us because they were allowed to sell products to go. So we ended up bringing on a good number of those. And I think, to your point, now it's, even more appropriate, low touch items, higher throughput, scaling their cocktail program, they're all looking for ways to do that. So yeah, we definitely are getting a lot of inbound, and then in general for 21, the plans are, just a little bit, more the same. We right now there's only, you can only get the product in LA on demand. And then the rest of the country has to get the product shipped, and so that's not the best, waiting a couple of days for your cocktail. So we're excited. Actually, today we just launched same day delivery in New York. So, you can get the same day experience, on demand experience in New York City. Same thing with Miami. That's rolling out in a couple of weeks. And then we've got San Diego, San Francisco, Austin, and Chicago coming towards the end of the year. And we're doing a lot around corporate events, launching a membership program. So there's quite a bit that's going on here, even in the next couple of weeks.
So let's just take it back to a bit more raw entrepreneurialness. Obviously, that we talked about the drivers starting the company and stuff like that. Looking back, you did take 6 years is a long time to R&D a drinks product. Like that's a huge investment of time. I love how both of you just smirk and like go, yeah, it is a huge investment. What were the drivers that made, like, because 6 years is a long ass time for anybody, and there's a lot of late 20s, early 30 entrepreneurs out there that are like, oh yeah, I need to do this in 18 months. I'll have 2 years worth of business, 3 years worth of business, flip it, be done. what kept you going over those 6 years to really make sure this got pulled off? Because obviously, like just the way you listed it, licensing, finding the partner, the packaging, what was the thing that every morning you were like, yep, let's just keep knocking away at this?
I mean, I think for us, there really was a big glaring hole in the category in general. We were really just kind of motivated by the opportunity to come out with something that would be way different. And I think nowhere along every step of the way that we took, we got more excited. And also, we always thought we were closer to launching than we were. We were like, we were always like, it's going to happen in 6 months, and then we found out, no, it's going to happen in 9 months. And then at the 9-month mark, it would be another few months. So there was that, like carrot was right there in front of us. It just ended up taking longer because of engineering, because of licensing, and, investment, also just being capitalized enough to execute on plans. So I don't think there was ever a moment where we were like, is this a good idea still? We knew that that if we did it right, that it would be, it would be a new category and that it would be super powerful. And, right now there's a lot of products coming out in the alcohol industry, but a few years ago when we first started, it was like, there wasn't a lot of competition. And thankfully, still no one has been able to do something like we're doing with this product in the category. There is a lot of great stuff out there now. We have just our cocktail refrigerator. So, we can go out and go buy, competitor products and see. There's definitely, look behind Lawrence, Yeah. We do a lot of R&D, I guess you could call it. And, and there's definitely some really good products out there. There's some good hard seltzers that are like different than White Claw, and you're like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I like it. But no one's doing a truly fresh craft cocktail. If they're saying fresh on their bottle, they must mean fresh some other way. This is not the same as ours.
It was fresh when it went in the bottle.
Yeah.
It was fresh when they put it in the bottle. After that, it doesn't matter.
Maybe at some point when it left the fruit, when it was actually fresh in for 1 second.
What sort of kept you going? Did you guys work together so closely that it was like tit for tat, sort of like, okay, like if you're getting down, I'm going to pick you up. If you're getting down, I'm going to get you up. Was it sort of that drive that sort of helped you keep going, Lawrence?
Yeah, it was pretty nuts because everyone we talked to, outside of just ourselves who were, new to the industry, they're like, this is not possible. So we're like, oh my gosh, like these people who know what they're doing are saying this is not possible. And we're kind of looking around at the, the world and what's on the shelf, and no one's had done it before. And so how are we going to be the ones to do it when, we weren't even from the industry. We're like, in our kind of mid to late 20s trying to like go out and, change an industry. And it was interesting how, we just really kept seeing how there was all the pieces in place. There was possible to make this bottle technology. The high pressure technology was there. And Brandon and I were always kind of just like, maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're a little ahead of our time. Maybe we're just not the right people. Maybe we're not capitalized enough. But I think one of the real key things was when we're out talking to our friends or family or people on the street or doing research, and you would ask people, hey, like we're coming out with this new concept called DRNXMYTH. It has fresh juices, and you just see people's head just go, wow, that is so amazing. If that exists, I would totally get it. And so when that was kind of more of the North Star, I would say, of just really getting people's reactions and knowing that if we could piece it all together, people would like it, people would be impressed by it, people would want to keep drinking it, no matter what all the haters in the industry said wasn't possible, because they were stuck in a certain mode of doing things a certain way. And I think we had the benefit of being younger and being a little, bold and kind of looking at it from first principles and looking at it from a fresh, new way that I think allowed us to balance, what we were learning from people in the industry with, and kind of taking what they were telling us, but not their conclusions, like taking the underlying information and then reprocessing it in our own heads and kind of knocking it, between us two, talking for hours every day, trying to figure out, okay, let's figure out and, kind of reprocessing it with what we're seeing in the other parts of other industries and really kind of piecing it together. So that was, we almost thought we were kind of a little too ahead of our time. We're like, someone's going to do this eventually. Maybe we're not the right guys, but fortunately we kind of had to stick to it or miss that kind of made it work.
Yeah, everybody's a hater until they realize that it's really cool. And then they want it. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. That was a nice little quick deep dive into the drinksmith and the CPG market, because I think that a little serendipity, a little bit of luck, and then obviously 6 years of screwing up multiple times and getting it right. Everybody thinks everything's an overnight success until they actually hear the story about the 6 years worth of screwing up bottles and trying to find high pressure sanitation and all this sort of different stuff. The success of the brand is obviously because I think that you're going to be the next big cult brand, to be really honest with you, in the drinks game. I think that serendipity has really shone upon you with COVID and consumer convenience and DTC and everything overnight. I think that's been a fantastic way of doing it. So I want to thank you so much for your time, guys. I know that you're both super busy, especially just expanded New York, today. So congratulations on all your success, and hope to chat to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Shawn. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.